promised you all that I would read some of this again. If you don't remember, this is the first Americans, the stories of the indigenous North Americans. On the back, the history and culture of Native Americans. The first Americans tell the story of Native Americans, indigenous people, for immigration during the Ice Age to the influence of Native American culture today. Along the way, in something early tradition history and tribal relationships between Native Americans and Western settlers. We've read some of this before. The beginning of the Ice Age, migration to the West Hemisphere, the effect of English and French colonies. So I'm just gonna pick a random spot. Hopefully it's not the same. Ooh, we'll try this one. Hiawatha, sometime in the 16th century, a Horgan Pratant named Dewagwe was supposedly inspired through a dream to stop the infighting among the Iran seekers. His thought, Wiatha, a Mohawk. If I'm saying this wrong, I am so sorry. According to the Indian legend that was later fictionalized with some variation by Henry Wadsworth. Longfellow paddled from tribe to tribe, spreading the message of peace and brotherhood. This resulted in the information of the legend of Iran nations. The Confederation was formed from the Cayuga. Okay, whoa, I can't say half these words. And ongoing tribes with the later inclusion of the Tuscarora. In reality, it may have been the new threat of the white man that caused the tribes to unite. We will continue in just a minute. Okay, dokie, today is one of those days where we don't care what we look like. I know, I'm crazy. We're gonna read a little more of this Native American indigenous book. Okay, Tecumseh, the dynamic chief of the Shawanoe tribe, had fought like his eventual foe, William Henry Harris, in the Battle of Fallen Tribes in November 1811. Harris moved against a village on Tapaki Creek, controlled by the Chiefs brothers, Tenwalks, as the protest. If I'm saying this wrong, I'm so sorry. Then organized woodland tribes against the American settlers and aligned the confederation he had formed with the British in the War of 1812. Below, in the Battle of something, Thomas at Madon, October 5th, 1813, the 2,500 Connecticut melted and 2,000 U.S. regulars advanced on British troops. I'll be right back. Holy moly. I'm sorry, book is kind of big for me. Oh, these are some writings. I think we read these. Queen City Deed. This deed to Queen City, New York was created on January 1st, 1984, and was signed by Mangob, a Indian chief and English colonist. His mark is in the lower right corner. As the Mahani, if I'm saying your name wrong, I am so sorry. I cannot pronounce words very well. A small something of gifts were exchanged for a large trace of land. See translation page 156. Whoa. Heavy book. Playful map 1635. Holy moly. My number disability is driving me crazy. Dutchman William Jazoon Bleet. If I'm saying this wrong, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying. 1571 to 1638. Created this map of New World in 1635. It is unusual in that West something point is at the top of the map. New Netherlands, New England, and Virginia are identified, and some features, such as Long Island, are quite occupied portrayed. Note the illustration of the Indians in cannons in the Atlantic Ocean. The title is Navia Blanca, but the area claimed to be Netherlands is listed as Nijmegen, as well as something else, reflecting some stable differences in what explorers are calling the newly discovered areas. So here's the giant map of it. So this says Pocahontas, the effects of English and French colonies. Pocahontas was born in Milwaukee, but her father, the Palaver chief Pontiac, referred to her as Pakahantes, meaning my favorite daughter, captured John Smith's claim that the teenage girl put herself between him and the EXECUTONERX when Smith was a Paki captive. Whether or not this is true, she became the most famous Native American female among Europeans in the 17th century. In 1612, she was held hostage by the English and fell in love with and married colonist John Ruffle. Piaki kept peace with the colonists until his death. In 1618, Pocahontas became a Christian, sailed to England, and was presented to the court of King Charles, but died of smallpox in 1617 before returning to the colonies. Her son, Thomas Ruffle, was one of the most powerful leaders of colonial Virginia. We will read more of this later on. I am going to stop it there. We're going to read some of the back of the book. Maybe. We'll see what happens. I long for the day when native is a description of the literal work and not the deciding definition. Above. Sherman J. I want to say Alexier Jr. was born in 1966 on a reservation on Wells Print, Washington, 50 miles from Spokane, and is a spoken Curwin Indian. And other side effects of hypocrisy, as an in fact kept him something of a longer, but he, again, if I'm pronouncing any of this wrong, I apologize. I have a learning disability where reading is not my strong suit, but I'm trying, so forgive me. First, poetry. Wrote stories for the Atlantic. I'm doing the back of the book because we've never gotten to the back of the book. Eventually I want to read this whole thing. myself. Okay, here's something. Western Shoreshine Scarce Land. Western Shoreshine Scared Land Agitation Tribute newspaper was an irregular published newspaper, but it was an important communication tool for reaching both tribal members and the general public. This is not Air Force land. Mother Earth is not for sale. What people can do. Return to the past, ancient influences, and modern life. Native Americans, as this work has attempted to point out, are spiritual people in touch with nature, in touch with the past, in touch perhaps with the spirit of all things, past and present and future. A new millennium has just begun, providing Native American heritage, preserving Native American heritage. We will read more of this book later on. Hopefully, we can read the whole thing.